So welcome back to Stinger Buzz. Well folks, I decided to move forward with one of my last two mods that I have for my 3.3 all-wheel drive Kia Stinger, and that is Wagner Tuning's intercooler. It's big. It is really big compared to all else that is out there. But there are some fitment issues. Nothing major, just a couple of minor things that you will see later in the video. One is with the lower baffle, which does not fit, has no place to mount for the US version, and 4 other screws were too small for the upper bracket on the intercooler. But I'll speak to those later on in the video. At the beginning of the video, you'll see that I start with the bumper already removed, and that is because there are plenty of videos out there showing how to remove the Stinger bumper, which is very easy. 4 bolts, a couple of pop-out tabs, and that bumper comes right off. I was really surprised. So the video is going to begin with the front of the car, and I'll begin with taking off some of the pieces. There's not a lot of detail in how to do this in this video. I had no one to manage the camera for me, so there's not a lot here. You just see different stages of going through the process of removing the OEM intercooler and installing the Wagner, and some of the challenges that you may have. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and we'll get to it. So, this wasn't really a fun job. With doing this by yourself, you just don't have anyone to video it for you, and believe me, it takes enough time just to do the work. But as you can see, there are videos out there on how to remove the bumper. Bumper is just really easy to take off. A couple of, I think, 10 millimeter bolts, some snaps, a little electrical connection, as you can see right there, that needs to be undone on the driver's side, which is right there. And the bumper comes right off, at least the bumper cover. And then you go to work on removing the actual bumper itself. All you have to do is disconnect the radar sensor there. You don't have to unbolt it. 6 bolts, actually 6 bolts and 4 nuts hold that bumper on. And of course there's a lot of parts that need to come off, such as this plastic part right here that funnels the air into the, sits behind the grill, funnels the air into the radiators. And then the 2 pieces that you see right there, which go right here. This is the intake for your air boxes, right? One was here, and feeds the air boxes there. The oil radiator here, oil cooler here, you had to undo these bolts here, this one here, reposition the clamps, the nuts, onto the actual oil cooler itself. Initially the nuts, the clamps were on the actual bracket here on the outside, but you had to reposition them, so you had to move this oil cooler behind this frame here. It's spelled out pretty good in the instructions that come with the Wagner intercooler. So that is actually moved back maybe 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch, I guess, to make room for the intercooler. I just got done removing the stock OEM intercooler, and as you can see, the easiest way for doing this is not really to undo these clamps, which actually are more difficult, especially this one here, but to go under the car and go to the second position and undo those clamps, because that's where you're going to be bolting up the new hoses. No need doing extra work. And so, as you can see, I removed the bottom panels, disconnected it right there. And on this side, pretty much the same thing. And I removed the bottom panels anyway because I want to change the oil. So I'm going to hit two birds with one stone here. All right. And now I'm going to start going to unbox the new intercooler and then start installing it. I'll be back. So here's the new Wagner intercooler unboxed. Looks like the bottom mounts will go right in the old OEM bottom mounts for the OEM intercooler. I'm going to fix the top bracket up here. So right here will go one rivet nut. The other one will go over here. So I'm going to go ahead and install those as in the instructions there. And secure that top bracket. And I'll be right back. So those took all of 3 minutes to install using my trusty rivet gun here. As you can see, there's one there, one there. And next I'll go ahead and install the bracket, which is right here. And that will install like so. All right, I'll be right back. So we have just a little bit of a problem here with the screws that they sent for the bracket up top. The bottom, it just sits, there are these pegs that sit right in the OEM bottom mounts from the previous intercooler, the stock intercooler. But up top, where we have this bracket that they manufactured, as you can see, when you look in the rivet holes, the threads do not start until you're just about halfway down the hole. And here's the length of the screw. That's not going to make it. Even if it could bite, and this is without a washer. It won't even bite without the washer that is supposed to go on here. So I don't know what we're going to do. I'll just have to go down to the hardware store and do for myself. So I had to go run out to the hardware store to get the right screws. So what I did, I went and got 4 M6 1.0 18 millimeter. And they're definitely long enough. That's what they should have sent with the intercooler. But I'm back in business. So we have some fitment issues here with the baffles. The lower baffle will not fit. It has nothing to mount to. As you can see, the opening on that side. I'm sorry, the mounting location on that side, left and right. There is absolutely nothing to mount it to. Apparently on the European version there is. As you look in the instructions here, you will see that off of the main bumper, there is another structure that comes down along the sides. But we do not have that on the US version of the Stinger. Also, these baffles are also different. I don't know if those are OEM on the European versions or not, but not on the US model. Here's the OEM version on the US model. And as we know, the aftermarket Ram Air, the ones that are coming red and blue and white, as we know, they will not fit with this style intercooler on here. So I just reattached the OEM version for now, and who knows, maybe we'll come up with something else in the future. So it looks like I'm going to have to leave that lower baffle off. There's no place to mount it, and it would take a lot of manufacturing and crafting something to mount it to. So that's pretty much it for now. Again, we have some fitment issues regarding the lower baffle, which you can see here, which I could not put on because, as you see, the mounting locations here, one there and one there, there is no mounting location on the US version. In the European version, apparently there is a bracket coming off of the bumper here extending down that would mount to on both sides. So if you look at the instruction manual that comes with the Wagner intercooler, you will see that coming off of the bumper. So it looks like, as for the moment here in the US, that lower baffle will not be a part of this project. But it looks like I have everything else back together. I've got the hoses secured. They're on. We installed the radar sensor. Everything's tight. We installed the OEM intakes for the air boxes. Just didn't want to leave them open because I didn't want foreign material going directly in to the air boxes. Because if I were to leave it open, remove this piece and leave it off, it's a straight shot into the air box. And even though the filters are there, I just didn't want a lot of junk and debris and bugs and everything being sucked into the engine. Maybe they'll come out with something later that will replace this intake here and maybe extend out in front of this particular style intercooler. But right now there's nothing that I know of. So let me go ahead and put the bumper back on. Complete change of my oil. I decided to change my oil while I was under the car and wrap this up. Okay, so a few hours later, I had the car back together. And it's a good thing I did this work myself. There was some work done on the car recently on the front, and where they had to remove the bottom panel. And well, some of the bolts weren't tight. A couple were loose. So it's good to do your own work on your car. That way you get to go over and check things and make sure things are snug, torqued, and nothing's loose, missing. It becomes a problem. But anyway, front bumper's back on. I tell you, removing and reinstalling that front bumper is just so easy. I had no idea it would be as easy as it was. But anyway, these are the parts that are left over. And as I said, I changed my oil too, so that's why you see all that stuff over there. But anyway, there's the intercooler, the OEM intercooler. Just a couple of clamps and some screws that are no longer needed. That was a plastic frame that was on the inside, just funneled some of the air to the upper part of the radiator. So that's no longer needed. And of course, the lower baffle that came with Wagner intercooler, well, no place to mount it on the US version of the Stinger. So we are done, and I'm going to go ahead and start it up, make sure I don't have any oil leaks from changing my oil, and we'll see how this thing runs. One more mod to do, and that is eliminating my cats, going from 4 to 2 high flow cats with downpipes, and maybe another month from now I'll be able to get those ordered and installed, and then I am finished with my Stinger as far as what I want to do with it. All right, guys, thanks for watching.